on TV, on radio, and on your smartphone. This is TalkTV.
Hello and welcome to The Talk. I'm Daisy McAndrew, and tonight the Education Secretary is caught swearing about crumbling school concrete, claiming she's done an effing good job. And then latest crime crackdown. Police are told to investigate every instance of shoplifting, even for thefts worth less than £200. And as Prince Harry returns to the UK this week, it's claimed his latest Netflix series has flopped. Joining me on the panel to discuss all that, Nicola Thorp and Kevin O'Sullivan, JJ Anisiobi and James Max. First to that foul-mouthed rant worthy of a detention. Education Secretary Gillian Keegan has apologised after being caught on camera moaning she's doing an effing good job tackling the school concrete crisis while others sat on their backsides.
And every single one of them will be done.
OK, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Does anyone ever say, you know what, you've done a good job because everyone else has sat on their and done nothing? No signs of that, no?
No signs of that. Well, the extraordinary Mike Strop comes as the Tories disintegrate into a blame game over the crumbling concrete conundrum that's thrown the start of the academic year into chaos. More than 100 schools are having to partially or fully close after alarm was raised about the cheap, lightweight concrete that's being used in buildings and is prone to collapse. In unfortunate echoes of lockdown, thousands of children now face the prospect of online lessons or moving to temporary classrooms in porta cabins. Well, with Parliament back in session after a 6-week summer break, ministers are under huge pressure to sort out what Keir Starmer is branding a farce. Rishi Sunak denied he's to blame after a senior civil servant claimed the Prime Minister halved the school's rebuilding budget when Chancellor. Meanwhile, today's Chancellor Jeremy Hunt has taken to the airwaves admitting the scandal could get even worse. Well, not one to be outdone. The Education Secretary waded in with a second bizarre video of the day. Keegan was trying to pacify parents, but chose to accompany her message with melodic house beats, giving the impression she'd been reshuffled to the Ministry of Sound.
RAC stands for Reinforced Autoclaved Aerated Concrete, and it's a lightweight form of concrete that was used in building construction from the 1950s until the mid-1990s. Problems with the strength and durability of the material mean that some buildings may pose a threat to safety, and nothing is more important than the health and safety of children and staff.
I mean, what was that?
Down with the kids.
Literally down with the kids. I mean, it's so cringe. I mean, just on that video, all I can think is that some work experience kid got in there and thought, oh, I'll jazz this up.
Well, you know what the track is called? It's called Teenage Dream.
Oh, well,
so it's called Teenage Dream. It's by Curtis Cole. It's a banging dance
Well, can
track,
I just write this down?
And
It's a great track.
But you see, here's the thing. They've used a well-known dance track, which presumably means they're probably paying some kind of licence fee for it, as opposed to using music that you can use perfectly freely. But that sort of video shouldn't have music. What were they thinking?
It was just so bizarre. And, of course, took away from what they were trying to do, which, I mean, we don't know whether they would have been even, any more successful without the music, but certainly the music overshadowed it. And then, of course, go back to her, off-mic moment when anybody with half a brain knows that if you are being interviewed and you then say something like, why won't anybody praise me for doing an effing good job? And that it's probably going to get used. I mean, it wouldn't always be used. I suspect some broadcasters would have sat on it, but ITV... And again, I think it's a sign that the government is in trouble because the broadcasters are not showing them any respect or diligence or sort of courtesy. They're just going, right, here we go, let's put that out because it embarrasses the Secretary of State. And it has embarrassed her. But you can tell that she's under pressure, and it's helped Rishi Sunak because it takes all the pressure away from him.
I've got a theory as to why people aren't praising her for doing, in their terms, an effing good job. That's because she effing well isn't doing a good job. It's just ridiculous. Talk about entitled minister not in touch with the rest of the planet. I mean, does she really think that people of this country are going, that education secretary, now that all the schools are falling down, she's doing a great job. It's just absolute nonsense. And to cut her just a little bit of slack, You know, of course, she's cocking this up in spades and will continue to do so. But she is the 7th Education Secretary in 5 years. They've got to stop running this government as if all these politicians are fantastic. It's as if, you know, I'm running a football team. I've got this great player. He can play in goal, he can play up front, she, of course, on the wing, and you know, they can't all play in all positions. So getting people to do a really important job, Education Secretary, one of the most important jobs in the Cabinet for, you know, 3 months, so I've got something else for you to do. That's half the reason we're in this mess.
It's half the
now.
reason, but the other thing is, her timing is impeccable. Off she goes on holiday from tomorrow. So, you know, recess is over. All the parliamentarians are back. It's rather like saying, oh, I don't think I'll go on holiday during the holidays because oh, it's expensive, whatever. Now's the time to go, just when everybody's back. I mean, you would have thought that at the beginning of the school year, even if you've been around over the summer to do things because you were asked to, right at the beginning of the school year, if you are the Education Secretary, you would have thought that now is the time to be there.
And you would have thought that an Education Secretary might have to live under the same rules as all parents up and down the country. You'd get a great big fine if you take yourself off on holiday during term time.
I bet she doesn't go on this holiday.
When you're meant to be looking after things.
I bet she doesn't go on it. It's, you know, as you quite rightly say, Education Secretary surely should be there at the start of term anyway, start of the school year. But under these circumstances, the Education Secretary going on holiday while all the schools are falling down because they built the schools out of aero bars, it's an absolute scandal. She can't go on holiday. I bet she doesn't.
I still don't get what she was actually looking for praise for. Was she
Exactly.
Yeah, to your point, but like, was she asking the journalist, the person interviewing her, like, aren't you going to thank me? Well, obviously not, because that's not his job. Does she mean the public? Does she mean the fact that she was the only kind of visible minister, really, today during this entire debacle? I just don't get it. But ultimately, yeah, the more we're focusing on her, the less we're looking at Rishi. And as much as he can say it's not my fault, well, yes, because you had the opportunity to fund this project, knowing, because now they're coming out saying, oh, the safety of children is paramount. Well, no, because if the safety of children was paramount, back in 2019, you would have invested.
It wasn't 5 years ago when they were warned.
Exactly, exactly. For me, this is another Grenfell waiting to happen.
I think that this is probably, we've just seen Rishi Sunak's last chance of re-election go up in smoke. This is a disaster. This could affect hundreds of thousands of kids, hundreds of thousands of parents, and they will not forgive for this. This is an uber shambles.
Meanwhile.